Hi, how are you? It's January 2025. I cannot believe it. I don't know where 2024 went. I don't know where December went. December just like evaporated completely. I stitched a lot in December. Honestly, I could not tell you what I worked on, quite frankly. I did not keep track of anything. It was just, it's a crazy time for everyone, obviously. So I don't know what my next normal floss tube video is going to look like because I'm not sure what I worked on. So we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But today, to welcome in the new year, and I guess to kind of reintroduce myself to FlossTube. If you're new here, hi, my name is Rebecca. This is beck.stitches everything. Today I wanted to do a WIP parade. So these are all the projects that I'm bringing into 2025. One thing that I do know that I did in December that I spent some serious time on is I went through all of my projects that are in progress or that I have kitted, organized them, went through them, logged everything into Notion because quite frankly, I had no idea how many projects I had in progress. You could have told me about 100 and I would have been like, yep, that sounds reasonable. It's not that bad. 100's not bad. So I spent some significant time, as I said, kind of logging everything just so I know what I'm coming into this year with. I have no plans of keeping any kind of stats on daily stitch counts or anything like that. I'm primarily a paper chart stitcher. If I stitch from my iPad, I'm not using markup. I don't care how many stitches I'm doing a day. I don't have any big plans as far as what I want to get done this year. I might mention some kind of general plans I have at the end of this video. But this is a good starting place for me just to know what I have started. And like I said, the number's not quite what I thought it was. So according to my Notion, I have 46 projects in progress, more or less. And I say more or less because I have not taken the time to put in any kind of little mill hill kits that I've started because I tend to start and finish those so quickly that it just, I don't know, I just didn't want to even factor that into this number. And one thing I realized right before I sat down to film this video is that number does not include my Carolyn Manning round robin piece. That's not in here either, so maybe this is more like 47 things in progress. But the more interesting number, I think, to me was when I went through everything. I have 24 additional projects that are mostly or fully kitted up and ready to go that are not started. And that does not include mill hill kits. That does not include dimensions kits that I have sitting in a box. So I have lots of stuff to work on in 2025. And like I said, I'll talk a little more about my plans for 2025 when we get to the end. But right now, let's just go through all of the WIPs that I have already started. So like I said, this is about 46 projects. Part of what I did when I went through Notion was I kind of categorized things. So I have 4 storage tabs right now. One that holds kind of full coverage pieces, fancy ladies, like Mirabilias is one. I have one that is samplers. I have one that is kind of fall holidays, like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Then I have one that's just everything else, kind of the miscellaneous box. So I'm probably going to film this in chunks and then just splice it together. At the end, I hope the light's okay. The sun's kind of maybe trying to come out a little bit now. It's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but this is Seattle in January, so we're going to deal with clouds and weird light. So let's just dive in, shall we? So the first box that I pulled from is my miscellaneous box. And then I guess my Notion list is just sorting these alphabetically. So we'll just go through it in that order. A lot of these, some of these I probably haven't ever shown on my channel, and some definitely have not been shown in a while. So hopefully this is interesting. Hopefully you're not burned out on WIP parades. Let's just go. The very first project that I have in my WIP list is it's a pretty small start. This is A Study in Nature by the Artsy Housewife. This is the second time I started this project. Is that true? I started originally on a piece of 32 count hemp linen by Jackson Fabric Arts, and I do love her pieces, but it was just a little bit big for me. So when I went on my little stitchy shopping day with the Thread Gremlins and Megan of the Seattle Stitcher, and then Michaela and Erica and all that. I bought a piece of this 40 count red fabric at Threadneedle Street. This is, sorry if I'm like looking down here, but I'm gonna just give you the best details that I can. This is 40 count Phoenix by Picture This Plus. It's a 40 count linen. I am stitching this 1/2 with the Vicki Clayton silk pack conversion. A very small start on this. I want to get more progress on this one. Like I said, this is the second time I've started this one. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna have to mess with the zoom on my camera a little bit. Is it gonna focus for me? The red fabric is a little bit tricky, so it's gonna be hard, especially with those lighter colors, to get complete coverage. And I don't know that I need that. I think I'm kind of realizing as I'm working with more fabric dyers that this might be kind of controversial. I think Picture This Plus is not my favorite. There's something about, I don't know if it's the base fabric they're using or their dyeing process. It feels, I know that some people say that they feel like the holes feel tighter in it, and I would kind of agree with that. I think the thing that I'm noticing more is that it feels, not thick, that's not the right word, plumper, bouncier maybe than some fabrics. And I think particularly with these Vicki Clayton silks, my stitches tend to want to kind of like sink into it rather than sitting more on top. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. But I think I need to give this one more of a chance and just kind of work with it some more and then see how I feel. Because I do love the design and I really love, I love the red. I think it's so cool. But yeah, this one's kind of been in a little bit of a timeout kind of situation. So anyway, WIP number 1 of 46. I need to pick up the pace. We're going to be here all day. Okay, up next, another artsy housewife piece. This is a City in Pink and another butterfly. I love this one. I am stitching this one on a 36 count piece of fabric. This is, look, it's just swag art called Antique Ivory. .36 count, 2/2. So that's that kind of tricky no man's land for me with 36 count. I might have to move my camera so I'm not standing up every time. This one's been tucked away for a little bit. It just feels springy to me, so I think that's part of the reason why I haven't pulled it out. And then the 2/2 on 36 count is not as fun to work with for me. I mean, the stitch coverage is amazing. Like you get that really full coverage appearance, but it's, you know, it's a little bit tighter to work on. I am using the color flosses in this one, which are a mixture of, there's one DMC, and then we have Gentle Arts, Classic Colorworks, and Weeks in this one. We're just making it nice. That is our WIP number 2. Up next, we have Autumn Bee by the Blue Flower. I am stitching this one on the called for fabric, which is a 32 count French Country linen by Witchelt. This is the one where I've worked with quite a few Witchelt fabrics, and they're, you know, they're a little stiffer and they're not everyone's favorite, and they're not my favorite. I like the color of this one, which is why I decided to go for the called for. The weave on this piece that I have does feel tighter to me than most of the Witchelt 32 counts. It feels a little more like a 36. I haven't actually, I know I could just, you know, mark with pins and count the stitches. I'm not sure it actually is tighter than a 32, but it just feels like that to me. It feels more like a 36. This one I am doing in a mixture of DMC and some of the called for dinky dyes. I did not buy all of the dinky dyes that are called for in the pattern. I opted to just get the ones where I felt like kind of the variegation was more important to achieve that look, more the look of the cover photo. So, like you can see kind of in the body of the bee. Full focus. It's just out of focus today, I think. Can we see? Okay. So kind of in this bee's body, you can see there's a little more intense variegation, wings, some of the green leaves, and kind of like the central red in some of these flowers. And then like more like the outline parts where I felt like it didn't matter as much, I just did the DMC on those. And I had a pretty, you know, some pretty decent progress on this. It's called autumn bee, but this really feels like a spring kind of piece to me. So I may pull this one out more soon, because I do have a decent start on it. All right, up next we have another artsy housewife. Quite a few artsy housewife projects. This is Coffee and Eggs. And my battery is going to try to die. So I'm going to see if I can get through this one and then I'll switch up my battery. This one I am stitching on a piece of 36 count vintage country mocha. 2/2. This is all the called for flosses. So we have a mixture of, I think it's mostly classic colorworks. Yeah, I think these are all classic colorworks. And here is my start on that. Just got a leaf and a little bit of the chicken tail feathers. We have a very, very small start on this project by Lucy Beam Love and Stitches, designed by Rebecca Nolan. This is Cross Stitch Makes Everything Okayer. I am doing this one on a, click here, piece of 40 count fabric by XJ Designs. This is marbled hazelnut. So I will not need this huge piece. And I have a very small start. Can you see it? Right there. One little flower and a hanging thread and a needle still stuck in it. I should have said from the beginning, nothing's going to be ironed. Most of these things have been at least out of their Q-snaps or hoops for a few days, so they've relaxed a tiny bit, but I just didn't have it in me to go through and try to iron everything. I did, however, get my serger out and get it rethreaded, so I had some pieces that had like really nasty raw edges that got some edges serged on a lot of those. That'll help me out with it, with keeping things under control. This one is, I'm using all the called for threads, so there's just some gentle arts, so 5 different gentle arts flosses on that one. Yeah, that one has not seen much love. Next we have a stitch along that I am working on with Stephanie and Allison from Cross Stitch the Globe. I have pretty small progress on it. This is Dark Golden Delicious, again by the Artsy Housewife. I love her charts. I am stitching this one on a 32 count fabric by XJU Designs. Fold it in half. This is Early Halloween is the name of the fabric. I'm using all the called for flosses, so we've got a mixture of, I think, look. Actually, maybe it's not. I think they're all classic colorworks. But yeah. I think when I started this on the day that we started our stitch along, and I think I did all this in one day, and then it hasn't really been touched since. But I love the colors on this one, and I love this fabric. So I'm still kind of in Christmas mode. I have a lot of Christmas pieces I want to finish by next year, and I haven't burned myself out on that yet, so I'm still kind of doing all that, but I think this one needs to come out again soon after I'm ready to put Christmas away completely. Okay, so when I was going through and organizing everything, there were a couple of projects that I had kitted or maybe tiny starts on that I decided that I'm just gonna UFO and not work on, so I'm not gonna mention those today. There's a couple of others that I have in the stack that are kind of like in a precarious position, shall we say. So one of them that I'm not ready to quit on completely, but this one's kind of like, it's teetering a little bit. This is, the Deadly Aquarium Cell by A Little Crow Cross Stitch. Now, I have really good progress on this. I am stitching this on a 32 count fabric so it's a hemp fabric by Jackson Fabric Arts. Colors Cadiz. I'm using all the called for DMC. This is a mystery stitch along if you're not familiar with her pieces. So you'll get like that starting frame when you first sign up, and then usually each week she releases like kind of a new installment. There's a couple of break weeks in there too. I went like gangbusters on this thing at the beginning. I was caught up. One of the sections I was like the first one on Instagram to post my finish of this section. And then I got behind and it's just been sitting. My husband really likes this one. Every time I've worked on it, he's like commented on, oh, it's really pretty. And I mean, he's supportive of my hobbies, but he doesn't really like pay attention to it. So I do want to finish this one. I think when you start hobbies, maybe particularly cross stitch, or if you start a floss tube channel, like you get that initial excitement where you just want to try everything, and you buy everything and you start everything and you join every stitch along, and then as you kind of keep working on things, you start to hone in a little more like what your personal taste is and what you actually enjoy working on and what you want to have completed in your house. And so I think for me, for this one, I like it, and I've seen a lot of people finish it and it's really pretty, and I think it's one of those things that I could see finishing and getting framed and like giving to him and he can hang it in his home office. I think the thing for me is I don't want this to be in next year's WIP parade. That's all I'll say. Like if I don't finish this by the end of December of 2025, then I think it's going to go into the UFO pile, which kind of pains me to say it because I'm like really more than halfway through it. So I think I just need to make a push to kind of like get this done, or, you know, if it's not done by the end of 2025, then it might need to go to a better home. We'll see. So there's that one. Okay, up next, this one also kind of falls into that category of, you know, things I started just because I wanted to like try something new. I do like these. I don't have a paper chart of this, so I'll try to put a photo of the cover photo in like somewhere off the side here. This is a pattern by Satsuma Street. These colors are really fun and funky. This is done in Cosmo flosses. This is my first time, the only time I've worked with Cosmo flosses actually. This is called Funky Chickens. So at the end, you will stitch these like flat chickens and then they fold up into like a 3D kind of shape. So the colors appealed to me. I love chicken patterns that appealed to me. I like the idea of learning how to like finish them into their finished piece, like kind of learning new skills. But this has been sitting. I'm doing this on like a 28 count, just very basic craft store, and then like the Charles Craft. It's thin. I mean, ultimately when I finish this, I'll have interfacing behind it, so I think it's gonna be fine. But I really did it on this fabric just because I wanted to use it up and just like get it out of my stash. So yeah, this one's just about halfway done. With one, I think there's 3 in the chart that you get. Doubtful that I would finish all 3 of them. I would like to finish one just to say that I've done it. But yeah, it might be a one and done kind of thing for me. Up next, we have another Lola Crow cross stitch stitch along, mystery stitch along. I bought this pattern after the stitch along had ended. It was probably one of the first patterns. It's a needle on my fabric too. Probably one of the first charts that I bought, you know, when I kind of returned to cross stitching a couple of years ago. This is the Greenhouse of Oddities. And I have this one in PDF, so I'll try to pop a picture of the finished piece on the screen. I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count brown sand linen by XJU Designs. It's 2/2 on 36 count. So again, kind of like that tighter stitching, which is not my favorite thing in the world to do. And at some point, I made a counting error somewhere in this frame up here, and I'm off by like 1, and I cannot find it. It is driving me nuts. And I think I can work around it when I get farther, but it was one of those things where I just got so frustrated with myself that I put it away, and it's just sad. I also had the pattern for, gosh, is it the Haunted Library from her? I had that one fully kitted with fabric and all the DMC flosses pulled, and I unkitted that one. I mean, I'll keep the pattern in my stash, but I don't see myself working on all of 3 of these anytime soon, so I decided for now that that one's going to be a UFO, like an unfinished object. Up next, I have by Plum Street Samplers. This is Henpeck. There's a whole series of these kind of little stacked animal charts. I have quite a few of them. It's gonna focus. Can't tell we're focusing. So this is chickens and kind of a little more patriotic themes. I'm pretty far on this one. I am stitching this one. Is this the call for fabric? Yeah, 36 count Oaken, using 1 strand of floss over 2. And this is a mixture of Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colorworks glosses. I'm using all the called for this little piece of fabric, but there's definitely space to do a second one on this piece. And I will finish this kind of like the cover model into like a small pillow finish. Sarah by Handmade by Sarah W. I think she's finished hers. Yeah, I do like this one. I'm not in like 4th of July mood at the moment, so. This is In Praise of Pollinators. Killing me with the focus. This is by The Blue Flower. Love this chart. I'm stitching it on 40 count Stormy Night, which is the call for it. It's Zweigart linen, and it's mostly DMC with a couple of Weeks Dye Works. Well, 1 Weeks Dye Works and a couple of Classic Colorworks thrown into the mix. And here is my progress. I think I need to zoom in more. So I was making pretty good progress until I realized this little bird right here is up by 1 stitch. It's not even a big mistake, but it was just enough at whatever mental space I was in at that time that frustrated me, and I put this away. And then I fell off schedule with the stitch along. So he needs to come out and be moved down 1, and we can progress. Yeah, so I've got a decent start on this. This will get finished eventually. Just not sure when. Okay, next we have another artsy housewife piece. This one is Mellow Yellow. I don't feel like I see a lot of people work on this one, but it's actually one of my favorite ones of hers. It's got that somewhat that like 70s color scheme that just, I don't know, I love it. I like the dark linen. I am stitching this one on the call for fabric, which is a 35 count chestnut by Weeks Dye Works, using 2 strands of floss for 2 linen threads. This one uses a combination of classic colorworks, Gentle Arts, and Weeks Dye Works flosses. And I have a decent start on that upper border. Okay, up next is another one that's kind of teetering on whether or not I'm going to finish it or not. I put so much work into like the upper section of this that I don't really want to give up on it. So this is the Stephen King house. This is by the Witchy Stitcher. I have a PDF chart of this, so I'll put a picture of the cover photo up on the screen. I'm stitching this on a 32 count hemp fabric called Pale Shale by Jackson Fabric Arts. It's all DMC. So basically each room in the house is themed after a different Stephen King book, and my idea was, because I do love Stephen King, I've read quite a few of his books, but I was going to read all the books depicted in this chart and then like stitch each room kind of as I read the book. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not ready to give up on this one. Like, it'll stay in my WIP pile or rotation, just in case, but I think kind of along the lines of the Dilly Aquarium cell, like if I don't finish this by end of next year, then it's probably gonna go away. We'll see. Okay, up next I think we have 2 more that are like kind of my miscellaneous WIP category. I have by Cottage Garden Samplings. This is part of the Year in the Woods series. This is number 3. This is the Jackrabbit. This one is on Velt. Is that right? Yeah, it's a picture of this plus. It's a 40 count. This is the called for fabric. It uses DMC, 1 Gentle Art thread, and 1 Weeks Dye Works. This and the next one I think are a couple of my earliest 40 count linen endeavors, so I didn't get very far on this. Like, this seemed really, really difficult to me when I started it, but I think if I picked it back up now, it would not seem that bad. So I have a very small start on this. Do you hear my knees? So just kind of that upper flower. There's a lot in this series that I really like. So I think as spring approaches, I think this one needs to come out and get some serious attention, because I do like it. And there's space on this fabric for I think a second piece. I think I have also the fox one and stash, maybe one other. Okay, and then another one that's on 40 count. Again, it was one of the first ones I ever worked on 40 count. This is White Winter Moth by Kathy Barrick. Lots of people have started this one. I saw a lot of people work on it in winter this month. I intended to, and it did not happen. I am stitching this one on, I think it's the call for fabric, is it? I think it is. I don't have the details of the chart in front of me, but this is 40 count sand linen by Fiber on a Whim, and I am using the NPI silks for this one. I went ahead and went for that because I think there's only like maybe 6 colors called for. I didn't log those into Notion. I have a couple hanging threads, don't mind those, sorry. Here's my progress. I'm really, gosh, I'm not halfway, because there's some motifs that go along the side of this, but I'm probably a third of the way through this chart. It's so funny though, because like I said, it was one of my first 40 count projects, and I'm like, I'm not even going to show you because it's embarrassing. But I'm like looking at the back of this now. My God, I traveled like crazy. Like, I would not, even a year later, I would not do what I did on the back of this. So it's going to be funny when it's completed to see like the first half where it's all just chaos in the back, and the second half where it's significantly tidier. But I do love this one. I think this one could be definitely a finish in 2025. Okay, so that's all of my pieces for my miscellaneous box. I'm gonna pause the camera. I'm gonna kind of reset and pull from the next box, and then hopefully my camera will, I don't know, this whole thing might be blurry. We'll see. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. It's getting darker fast. Okay, so next category, or in the next like storage tub that I have full coverage pieces, kits that are started, kind of like the fancy lady category. So let's see how many I have in this. 2, 4, 6, 9 WIPs kind of in this category. Up first is a peacock, a unicorn, a badger. This is by the Scarlet Letter. This is full coverage. I love this one. It's so pretty. I'm kind of tempted just to pull this one out and like put it back on a Q-snap so I can have it in my current rotation. I am stitching this one on a piece of Zweigart fabric. It's a 40 count platinum by Zweigart, using all the DMC flosses. And here's my start. Every time I turn the camera on, the dogs make some kind of noise, so. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this one. It's one of those ones that's like when I pull it out and work on it, I love it, and then I tuck it away and I kind of forget it exists, and it's gonna take, like I said, it's full coverage, so it's gonna take a while. Next, we're heading into kind of my, like, I have a few Mirabilia starts. Up first is the first Mirabilia that I started ever. This is, I think it's just called Alice. Yeah. It's Alice. I love Alice in Wonderland. I probably won't stitch like this archway background. I think I'll just complete her. And I am doing this one on a 32 count. Let me verify that. I don't think I have her fabric in here. This is, I'm pretty sure, I think I was like not sure about this one. I think this is Kudzu by Fiber on a Whim. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. It's kind of a lavendery color. 32 count, so this is all the called for. This, I'm just so far, I think I've just done the DMC kind of in that central part of her dress on this one. I'm gonna have to pause and go put dogs in the other room. Okay, up next we have Cathedral Woods Goddess. I know Stephanie of Cross Stitch the Globe is working on this one. I have a pretty decent start. I've done some DMC, a little bit of the cry neck. Here's my start on this one. Did a center start on both of these. And I know I'm probably not being as efficient as I could be with my fabric use on these, but whatever. This is on a 32 count Picture This Plus called Feldspar. And I do like this one. Again, I think this one will come out probably during Mirabilia May. Up next. Okay. I've started this one twice and I'm still not sure I'm happy with fabric choice. This is Fairy Flora. This is an out of print chart. I was able to get this one on eBay very shortly after it went out of print, so I still paid probably like kind of normal-ish prices for it. I think it's probably, it's possible that it's a lot more now. Some of those out of print prices get kind of crazy. I am stitching, well, okay. I started this one on, I think this is a 28 count. And it's a Picture This Plus, and I'm not sure of the color. And things were going, okay, so I think my decision process on this was all of the Mirabilias call for a 32 count Mitchell fabric. So, and with a lot of hand dyed fabric, some people not complain, but caution you that the fabric can shrink during the hand dyeing process, and sometimes it is difficult when that happens to fit the beads on what is now not truly a 32 count. So I think I bought 28 count, trying to compensate for that. I'm a pretty tight cross stitcher for whatever reason. So I wasn't really very happy with my coverage with 2 strands of floss on this 28 count. And I was very unhappy with the way that my white stitching looked. I think that's another common issue people have with white cotton floss, is it tends to look uneven. So I put this aside and I got a 32 count, another picture of this plus. Oh, what is this one? I think it's, I don't think I logged this because I wasn't sure either. I'm not sure. It might be dusk. If anyone really wants to know, I can figure it out. This is a 32 count. Started again in that same kind of part of the dress, got a little bit in. Still not happy with the way my white stitches looked, so put it aside. Then I ordered white silk floss from Silks For You off Etsy. So I have a hank of white silk floss. Now I'm just trying to decide, do I want to start again on this? Do I want to try it on? I kind of actually like this background color a little bit better than the more like denim-y blue. Do I want to pick all this out and start on this and try it with the silk? Or do I want to start over for a third time? I don't know. So right now that project is it's just in timeout. So I don't know. I don't know when I'll go back to that one. We'll see. Maybe when I get Mirabilia May again, I just get in that mode. Maybe I'll feel motivated to like figure out what my plan is with that one. So that one's on hold for now. Now we're kind of getting into, oh, there's one more. As a kit, this barely counts as a start. And I think this one might be a restart. This is a Thea Gouverneur kit. I was inspired to start this one by Megan, the Seattle Stitcher. This is Lady in Unicorn. It is a kit. I bought this kit from Amazon, I think. And I think that you can get either an Anita version or like this Jobelin version. I picked the Jobelin version. So it's a 28 count, but it has you do it 1 strand of floss over 2. So it's kind of a little bit more of a sparse look to be like that kind of tapestry look. And I have like this minuscule little start. I started top center. These kits are known for not giving you any extra fabric. Like the margins are really tight. And so I think I started up here thinking I'd accounted for that. Now I'm paranoid. So I think I want to restart in the center because this starts small, and I'll probably just restart it in the center and just leave that and then just kind of like pick it out over time. So this barely counts as a WIP, but will probably be a restart as well. Okay, up next we have another Nora Corbett. This is not Mirabilia, this is just like a Nora Corbett. So these are kind of typically a little bit more simple designs. This is part of the Zodiac Girls series. This is Libra. I am doing this one for my daughter. I don't think she ever watches my videos, so this won't spoil any surprises. And I opted to do this one on a black fabric. Let me see if I have the details on this one. This is on a 32 count fabric from Picture This Plus called Shadow. So it's coming off a little bit purple on my camera screen, but in person it's very charcoaly black gray. And I think this will really pop nicely on this really dark fabric. It's a little tricky to work on, which I think is why I've kind of like put it down. It's a little bit slow going, just, you know, trying to see the linen holes on those dark fabrics. Okay, then we have another Thea Gouverneur kit. This one is still in the hoop. It's got a hanging thread. I didn't want to even undo it because I'm worried about kind of losing my spot. This is, what do we actually call this one? This is Rome by Thea Gouverneur. Ooh, this thing is. My plan was to stitch this one for my husband from May in his office. He has a history degree. He's like a big ancient Rome freak. We've been to Rome. We've been to Rome a couple of times together, and then he's been more on his own. But so here's my start. This is the Thea Gouvenier charts. They're intense. There are a lot of color changes, a lot of shading. This one has tons and tons of back stitching. So I think that's why I kind of put this one aside. I need to make a plan to like stitch kind of in sections and then back stitches as I go, because if I try to go back and back stitch at the end, I am never gonna find, it's gonna be impossible to follow this chart. So, you know, this is not the most fun stitch just because of all the detail work, and it's like a lot of tans and grays, and it's, you know, it's not very bright and colorful, but I think eventually the end result is gonna be awesome, and I think he will love it. So this will be a surprise, and he does not watch my channel, so if and when this ever gets finished, it's going to be a big surprise, and I think he'll actually really think it's really cool. So, okay, and then another Thea kit. This is again a Megan Seattle Stitcher inspired start. I think Megan UFO'd hers. I'm going to keep going. I don't really have any plans to pick this up anytime soon, but I'm not ready to quit on it yet. This is Still Life with Flowers in a Glass Vase. Kit. It comes with, is this 18 count? I think it says on here. I think this is I'm pretty sure this is an 18 count black Aida, so not the easiest on the eyes. It's one strand of floss over one Aida square. This one really doesn't have that much back stitching, but yeah, there's again lots and lots of color changes, lots of, you know, very fine shading. It's huge. I mean, oh my god, look at the size of this fabric. It's just, it is massive, and here's how far I am. So I kind of did like a center start lower. That's just one. Where am I on this? I think I'm like here. I mean, some of this, it just looks like white in here. I mean, there's like 14 different shades in here. This is something you really, really, really have to pay attention to. And I think the end effect is going to be stunning, and I think it would look really cool in like a big oval gold frame. But yeah, I mean, who knows when this will be complete. Maybe never. I have one more little start. This is the Dimensions Gold Collection kit. This is Wind Moon Fairy. This is on a light blue kit Aida, which is kind of funny because ultimately you end up covering it all up anyway. I have hanging blended threads on this very stiff light blue Aida. But here's my, I have like it's a small start, but it's respectable. I started right in the middle, so it's like in her dress. Yeah, okay, so that's the end of my like Fancy Lady full coverage kit stitching. I'm gonna reset and come back, and I think we'll do samplers next. All right, let's go into samplers. So I have 8 samplers that I would consider in progress. Yeah, I'll talk more about sampler plans at the end. Okay, so up first we have Consider the Lilies. This is like a classic. She's big. Consider the Lilies by Heartstrings Samplery. I am stitching this one on 40 count Baby Sheep by XJU Designs. Using all the colorful flosses, which is a mixture of Classic Colorworks, Gentle Arts, and Weeks Dye Works. And I've got some pretty good progress on this one. It hasn't been touched in a while. I love this one. It's so pretty. And it's one of those ones where like each little motif feels like its own small finish. So it's really motivating when you work on it. I think this one needs to come back out again soon. It's been too long since I've touched it. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I love this one. So I think I'm probably maybe like a sixth of the way through. I mean, this piece of fabric is large and it's going to use a lot of it. So I've got a ways to go, but I'm proud of the progress I've made on this one. And then up next we have Elizabeth Furness, 1836. This is from Hands Across the Sea Samplers. Erica from Fibers and Floss Canada did a beautiful conversion of this into the 100.3 silks, and that is the conversion that I am using. All my silks are actually upstairs for that. And this one's still in the hoop. It needs to get some work soon. I've got a little hanging thread. Be a little hard to see. Let's see if it'll focus for me. I am stitching this one on 46 count light nougat by XJ Designs. It's coming off a little bit more pink on camera. In person, it's kind of more of a, I mean, there's definitely pink to it, but it's a little bit more brown in person. So, got some legs from the Adam and Eve in the center, and that's about it. This is the first time I've worked on 46 count, and it's really not that much more difficult for me than 40 count. I need magnification for 40 count up for sure, but like once I'm in that spot where I'm already using my magnifying light, then this doesn't feel too much more challenging than 40 count for me. It's pretty easy to see. So I've been missing the sampler projects. I need to get a bunch of these back out again. Up next, I don't have a paper chart for this one. It's a PDF chart. This is Louisa Coulamore by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I am stitching this one on, did I not put it in? Okay, I don't have my fabric in here. I missed that step on this one. This is a huge piece. This is a 46 count again. It's, one of those rules that we all need to have one red sampler in progress at all times. So this one's quite large. It's going to take me a while. I am stitching this one, as I said, it's a 46 count. I think it's old sheet by XJU Designs. I'm going to have to confirm that. If anyone really wants to know, just leave me a comment and I can verify that for you. And this is in the 100.3 silks in the color 664. It's kind of that very popular classic red. Okay, and then up next we have Quaker Style 5. This is a Marjorie Massey design. I've had this one hanging out in my pattern box for a while. I just decided to kind of jump in and start it. So this is all charted in all DMC, but I'm not using any of the call for. I'm just kind of like diving into my DMC stash, and well, my plan is I only have one motif started. So just dive into my DMC stash and just pull whatever's kind of like speaking to me. So here's my start on this one. And I'm not sure which pink this is that I started with. I'd have to look at the project bag, which is now in a pile out of my reach. So just a small start on that one. And this fabric is another XJU Designs. It is a 40 count. This is Little Bunny is the color. So that was Quaker Style 5. Up next we have Summer Quaker. This is by Leela's Studio. Samantha the Hugo Stitcher is sort of a stitch along for this one, and I totally copied Bernadette from Burn Stitches on her fabric choice. I am stitching mine on 40 count Dirty Water by XJU Design. It's cool, really cool blue and gray mottled fabric. And I am using the Vicky Clayton Silk Pack conversion for the flosses for this one. I'm stitching it 1/2. This is so pretty. God, especially like that, kind of like orangey red. It's on that blue. It's gorgeous. So that was Summer Quicker, and now I have one called Summer Quickers. This is by Rosewood Manor. I am stitching this on the called for. It is a 28 count, I think. Let me just verify. Oops. 28 count truffle by Picture This Plus. This is the called for, and I am using the called for Waldani cottons. So you just use these as they come off the spool. You don't separate them into plies. It's a little thick. It's almost like a really, really fine pearl cotton. The variegation is really beautiful, but it is a little thick. So it's not the most pleasant to stitch with. And I have a very small start. This is, again, it's like one of those really early projects where I bought and kitted up and I was just kind of getting back into cross stitch and just trying everything. I do like this one, and I think I'll finish it eventually, but it's not really calling to me right now. And this fabric is like impossible to photograph or video because right now it looks really gray or brown, and in person it looks quite pink. Like, even there, it's not even really right. I wonder if I put it next to like this. Closer. Yeah, it's impossible. Okay. Next I have, this one I only have a PDF chart for, so I'll try to put a picture up. This is Thursday Goes Goth by Hemlock and Rye. So this is the goth version. I've got hanging threads. This one's so cool. It's like the kind of neon-y colors, and I chose this again. This is that early Halloween fabric from XJU Designs, but this time it's a 40 count. I did it on using a 32 count version of this on my Dark Golden Delicious by Archie Housewife. I love this fabric, and I especially love the way like these really neon-y kind of like DMC flosses just pop off of it. And then the last one that I have in this category kind of falls in that crazy category too. This is from Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I think this is this free? This might be a free chart. It's Tom's Foolery. So again, it's like these really bright, crazy colors. So I am stitching mine on a 40 count linen by XJU Designs. The color is called Rocky Mountain. So it's, you know, basically like a creamy white with like some gray modeling, and I just have like an upper left start. All DMC. 1 strand over 2 on 40 count. I'm going to put this stuff away, and I'm going to pull out my holiday box, and then we're going to get through the last of my WIPs. I have pulled all of my like kind of fall and winter theme, like holiday themed projects in their tub, and then I have 2 more after that I realized didn't have like a WIP box assigned to them yet, so we'll talk about those at the very end. All right, so up first we have Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. I started this one this fall. I am stitching this one, and I think Liz charts a lot of her stuff in MPI Silks, but I'm doing the DMC version. I have a kind of center top started. I think this one's a little deceiving because it doesn't look like it's that intense, but I think those pumpkins like take a lot of people out. They're pretty. That's a lot of stitching in the pumpkin section. I am stitching mine 1/2 DMC floss, I think I said that, on 40 count Affogato by Fiber on a Whim. Here's my start on that one. Pardon my hanging thread. It's like a repeating thing. Up next, we have Gobble Gob, another one of the stacked animal charts by Plum Street Samplers. Gosh, this is really frustrating me today. Focus. I am stitching this one with the called for flosses. It's a mixture of Classic Colorworks and Weeks Dye Works on 36 count linen by XJU Designs. I made some pretty decent progress on this one actually. The color of this one is called Drapple Brown. And just like the henpecked one, I will finish this one on like a small pillow finish. Up next, I have Halloween Angel by Lucy Beam Love and Stitches. This is designed by Rebecca Noland. This is one of the very first projects that I started when I got back into cross stitching. I am stitching this in the called for flosses, which are Gentle Arts with some DMC. I am stitching mine on a 32 count hemp fabric from Jackson Fabric Arts. This color is, I think I know where it is, Arches. And it's kind of ridiculous that I'm not done with this one because it's really just the bottom part of that stocking. I think it just starts to get tedious with the fill in. But I will do this one in a pillow. She'll be a pretty decent sized little pillow. And this is 2/2 if I didn't say that already. Okay. Up next I have a huge project. This is the infamous Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. I'm sure lots of you are familiar with this one. I am stitching mine 1/2 on 40 count fabric from XJU Designs. This is Grandma's Slip. And I'm using the Vicki Clayton Silk Conversion thread pack for mine. And I've completed 2 out of the, what, 12 squares? 11, but the center one's really big. And I've saved, I have not done all of the back stitching on these squares yet. I'm kind of saving some of the specialty stitches till the end just so they don't get mangled in my cute snap frame. Okay, continuing with the Halloween themed, I have a small start on, it's called Halloween Sampler by Crochet A Go-Go. For this one, I am using another fabric from XJU Designs. This is a 36 count gray sand linen, and I am stitching this 1/2, and I am using the thread pack conversion from Pirate and Robin for this one. So I think her conversion is probably a little bit brighter than the originally charted, but I like it, and her flosses are great. I have some of her yarn that I haven't used yet. I'm looking forward to trying some knitting with that at some point. And it's an upper left corner start on this one. Then I have another chart, also called Halloween Sampler. This time it's by Teresa Kogut from this Halloween, Hello Halloween booklet. There's some really great, cool, like vintagey, like inspired designs in here. I also did an upper left start on this one. It is also on a 36 count XJU Designs fabric. This one's called Old Linen. This is the called for fabric in the chart, and I'm using the called for flosses, which are, there's not that many. It's mostly DMC, and there's like I think 1 or 2 Classic Colorworks and 1 or 2 Weeks. Also a small upper left start on this one. These two kind of have a similar vibe, so I was sort of hesitant to start I got kind of caught up in the frenzy of the Crochet to Go-Go one. So we'll see if I actually end up finishing them both. Who knows? Okay, up next I have Olga's Autumn Stocking. This is also by Plum Street Samplers. I love their designs. I'm using all the called for flosses. We've got some Gentle Art, some Weeks Dye Works, and I am stitching this on 36 count fabric from XJU Designs. This color is called Baby Sheep, and I'm doing it 1/2 on 36 count. And I did like a top start. Here's my progress. I took this one on our big trip with us, and I got some work in on it. We were traveling this fall. It actually worked pretty well as a travel project because there's not a lot of, I mean, you kind of like each leaf is one color, so there's not like a ton of color changes. And once you figure out the leaf counting, you can kind of just memorize it. Okay, and then up next, this is like a huge switch to Christmas and a much bigger count than most of the things I've been talking about lately. I have started kind of a long-term project. I want to do Christmas stockings for our family. For me, my husband, my kids, his kids. So it's a lot of them. So I opted to do the shepherd's bush designs. I have quite a few of these. They have embellishment kits that you can buy that go with them. These are big. So a lot of them are charted on an 18 count natural linen by Witchell, which Witchell does not make anymore. So I kind of went around and around with fabric on this. Some of the newer ones are charted on a 20 count, and ultimately I went with the 20 count, and I'm glad I did because like even on 20 count, like these are big. Like, so it's a 20 count linen, which feels like stitching on burlap. It's really rough, and you use pearl cotton. So it actually goes really fast because the stitches are huge, but it's not, you know, the most enjoyable thing to stitch on because the fabric's really rough. But there's a bunch of these, and there's like a Facebook group, and the Facebook group is really kind of inspiring to get you to like push through and finish them and then get them fully finished as well. When I did dimension stockings for a family years and years and years ago, when my kids were small, I finished them all myself. So I think ultimately I'll probably do the fully finishing on those. We'll see once I get a couple of them actually like done. Okay, next one's sad. I started this one with Erica this summer. It's a Dimensions Gold kit. This is Santa's Midnight Ride. Using the kit fabric, kit flosses, and I have made zero progress on this since Erica and I started it in July. I still have my same like pathetic 10 little stitches in it. So I'm going to keep this one out because like I said, I'm still kind of in that Christmas mode. This one needs to get some attention before the end of January. I'm deciding that right now. Okay. Now we're going to switch for just a second we have like one kind of Thanksgiving themed one. This is Sir Thomas by Glendon Place. I think Memphis Sarah E finished this one recently. This one has been in and out of my 1-2-3 stitch cart so many times, and I finally pulled the trigger on it when I saw hers done. I always feel like there's not that much good Thanksgiving decor, just like either to make or to be purchased. You know, it's that kind of forgotten holiday between Halloween and Christmas. So this one, I always thought was really pretty, but in person it's even cooler because there are so many like petite treasure braids. There's like all these sparkly threads. There's tons of beads in it. It's got a lot of special stuff going on that doesn't really show up in this cover photo. So this is a fun one to work on, I think. I am stitching this one on a 32 count Zweigart. It's just platinum. Here's my start. I get kind of like a top centery start. I'm gonna go ahead and stitch all the DMC and Petite Treasure braid and silk lame and all that first, and then go back and bead at the end. But it's significant beading on this one, so it's gonna look kind of sparse until kind of do the beading part at the end. But then it's gonna be really sparkly. Okay. Next, back to Christmas, we have the Yule Goddess by Tiny Modernist. I am stitching this one on the called for. It is a 30 count Reeks Dye Works linen in the color Grasshopper, using the DMC threads. I had hoped to get to this one in December, and I just never really touched it. I actually took it with us. We were in Minneapolis for Christmas to see my husband's family, and it just, unfortunately, it never came out of the bag. I kind of like just kept working on little Mill Hill kits because it was just easy and portable. So I might keep her out too and work on her a little bit along with the Santa Dimensions kit. I'm getting like light from the window behind me now. She's really cool. Sally of Sally Stitches and, oh my gosh, she did it on like a kind of a dark blue fabric. It's so pretty. So pretty. Beautiful. Okay, then I have this one still in the hoop because I was working on it kind of before we left and I never took it off. This is Dimensions Gold Collection Petite. This is Toy Shop. I think this is the one that Annie X and Neil and the Hay finished, because there's also a coffee shop one too, and they're very similar. I have the kit for the coffee shop, and here's my start. I was thinking Kit Floss, Kit Ada, Crunchy Crunchy Ada. Again, not the most fun thing to actually work on, but the end result I hope will be worth it. Okay, and then I have one that I'm really, really angry is actually in this WIP parade because I had every intention of having this done. And now the battery's gonna die. This is Rudolph, Nora Corbett from the Christmas Eve Couriers. This one is, I powered through and did all the cross stitching on this so fast. And then the beading has just got me so bogged down. That clear thread is just killing me. This has just been kind of sitting. So I'll keep this one out too. And I just need to like force myself to get it finished. Because it's so close. It's so close. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so I'm gonna go switch out my battery again, and then we'll talk about my last two projects. There's just two, and then I'll talk about plans. Okay, we're down to the last two. These were not. Okay, right before it gets dark, we're down to our last two. So next to last, I have Variant of Interest by Long Dog Samplers. I have a PDF chart, so I'll try to put a picture up of the finished piece. I am stitching this on 32 count antique ivory linen by Zweigart. It's kind of like a long skinny piece. I'm doing this 2/2 with a kind of a navy blue silk from Silks for You on Etsy. It looks almost black right now because it's getting dark. But yeah, it's gonna be like a long thin piece. I'm probably maybe almost a quarter, maybe like a fifth of the way done with this. Yeah. This is so fun when I like set it up and work on it. I mean, it's just so nice not to have to change colors ever and just to watch these cool interlocking designs just develop. I'm loving this one. Okay, and then the final piece is my January 1st start. It is my very first chatelaine. I am doing the Rome Garden Mosaic, I think is what it's called. I'll put it, if you need the actual name, I'll let you know. It's like the big Rome mandala. It's still on Q-Snap. I've been working on it. This is also on the 32 count antique ivory or antique white linen by Zweigart. Kind of 2/2. This one has a lot. I mean, I started right in the center as is recommended. Those fish and the little shadows are 1/1. There is, I mean, this is like literal hours and hours and hours of work, this center. It is really intense. Um, there's a Gloriana silk that goes here. I have all of the pieces for this project. It took a while. I ordered the bead pack and the specialty threads without the Gloriana from European Cross Stitch. I ordered that in September. I just got it right before Christmas. So it took like 4 months, 3 months for me to get that. And then I was able to kit up most of the Glorianas when I was at Threadneedle Street with all the ladies in July, but there was one Gloriana color that Denise did not have in stock at the time. And of course, that is like the Gloriana color that fills in like most of the central mandalas. So I was able to find one skein of that at Hobby House and order that. I think it's on its way to me. So hopefully I'll have some more progress to show on this soon. Michaela of Cinematic Stitches is starting this one too, or has started this one too. So we're going on this journey together. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. There's a lot of specialty stitches, a lot of beading, a lot of specialty threads. It's just like so much fun stuff to work with. It's going to be a very long-term project because it's huge. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And now that I've done like all this intense kind of 1/1 on 32 count, I'm 40 count and 46 count actually now seem really easy to me on with magnification. So I'm ready, I think, to like jump into maybe the world of 56 count for some samplers. We'll see. I have some plans. So when we just talk plans, let's do that. I do have plans for another red sampler this year on 56 count. I want to do that. I'm not really making plans as far as making specific progress on projects. I'm not limiting my starts. I'm very much a mood stitcher. So I have kind of like general ideas of some things I want to work on, but this is just all subject to like whatever I feel like working on because this is a hobby for fun. So I'm not going to set like a really strict schedule for myself. I'm not going to limit myself to starts, as I said. So I have 46, well, technically 47 WIPs right now, including the round robin piece that I don't have in my possession at the moment. One thing that was a little eye-opening when I did my Notion setup was, in addition to those projects, I have a box of like dimensions kits and other kind of like Letty Stitch, some like other kits that are not started. I did film a video of those today, kind of going through that. I'll share that soon so you can see what's in that stash. So I have all those things ready to go. I also have fully kitted up and ready to go, or almost, 24 other projects in my queue. So 2025 for me is going to be an extremely low buy or virtually no buy year is what I've decided. I have enough stuff either going or ready to go to keep me busy for a very, very long time. I went to Jingle Ball and I really wasn't tempted to buy stuff. I'm not overwhelmed. Like some people have hundreds of WIPs and they're fine with that. Some people have 2 and that's fine. I don't have like a target number in mind at all. Like, and no judgment. If you want to have 500 WIPs, have 500 WIPs. Like, do whatever makes you happy. But I have enough going right now that I'm happy with these projects. There's a lot of stuff that I want to work on and a lot of stuff that I have kitted that I want to work on. So I don't feel really tempted, I guess, to buy more things. I would just like to see some things finished this year. I also have quite a few things that I stitched this year that need to get like fully finished. So I think that's my main goal, is just to get more projects to completion this year. So I'm kind of setting like a no buy for myself. I mean, if I run out of something that I need to complete something that I already have started, or if I have a project that's like kitted except for one floss, like I'll make exceptions for that. But that's kind of my 2025 plans, is just stitch what I have and just enjoy what I have and get some projects finished. So yeah, so that's it. Let me know if you're working on any of the same things as I have going. I'm not sure when my next regular floss tube will be. Like I said, I didn't really track what I worked on in December. So I have kind of some kit dive videos planned. Other than that, I mean, I guess I'll just check back in probably in a few weeks and just show you what I've been working on in January. And we'll just go from there. So I'll see you soon.